UK Met Office. I'm sitting here in a very cloudy Devon in the southwest of England at the moment. Hopefully some of you have got better weather than this. So Climate Europe Head Chef, it says on this slide here, but formerly I was known as the Climate Europe Coordinator. So Climate Europe is a project that's funded by the European Commission under Horizon 2020, and we're running this Webstival under the Climate Europe project. We have colleagues from the European Commission who joined us, so thank you very much to them for joining us. So we've not done this before, as I said, and previously on this slide we had our first face-to-face festival in Valencia, and then we had our second festival in Belgrade, and here we are now sitting on an image a bit like this with, I'm not sure how many connections we have at the moment, but a lot of people have joined from all around Europe, around the world. That's the wrong keyboard, sorry. So I don't know if Paula has sorted out her microphone issues. Paula, if you would like to go through this slide, if not, I'll talk us through it.
Okay, good morning all. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with using the Zoom by now, but I just thought I would give you a few reminders so that it will help run this morning's event as smoothly as possible. So when you're not speaking, please could you mute your microphones, and when you are speaking, just be mindful of the background noise that you may have. One thing I would want to ask you to do is to rename yourselves, those who haven't done already, so that we can recognize you and the organization you come from. So you can rename yourself with your first name, your surname, and then your organization. That would be fantastic. You do that by clicking on the, either clicking on the participants button, and then a dialog box will pop up and you can just click on your name and rename yourselves there. When you're not presenting or not speaking or asking a question, if you could turn your video off, just so that it hopefully helps the experience and the sound quality for the rest of us. And if you would like to ask a question, you can, or respond to a question or make a comment, you can use the chat feature. So if you click on the chat button, it'll bring up a dialog box, as most of you have probably already seen, and you can either write a question in there or make a comment that you'd like to ask a question. You can also use a raise hands function. So again, I think if you click on participants, there's a raise hands button, and that'll notify us who are managing this morning's meeting that you'd like to speak. There's a private chat function. So if you're having any technical issues, then you can just in the chat box click on a name, and so for example you can just send me a private message. And we are recording the event. We're aware that there might be a few participants who have declined to allow us to use any of their content or their audio material that they feature in, for example, putting it on our public website. We are aware of this, as I said, and anything that we do want to use and put out there publicly, we will just double check with you all that you're happy that we do that and that your wishes are met. So hopefully that all makes a lot of sense, and I'll hand back to Chris.
Thank you very much, Paula. So yeah, I'm not anticipating questions from these few slides I'm going to show here, but if you do have any, feel free to put them in the chat box. I've got two screens running here, so I might spot your question and might be able to answer it as I go along, or there might be a bit of time at the end. So how do I get to the next slide? So Climate Europe, it's just a slide to introduce what the project is. So we're facilitating a network of a range of climate service actors, so scientists, climate service providers, funding bodies, decision makers, policy makers, a whole range of interested groups. So anyone who's interested in climate services, we have been looking to include in our network, and I have a slide on what the network looks like later. We're not doing research activities, we're building upon existing activities. So on the right of this slide, there's some of the logos of some of the key activities that were either starting up or about to start up when we started. So the JPI Climate, we have lots of people joining from that group, thank you. The Copernicus Climate Change Service, the Climate Kick, a range of European Commission funded projects under Horizon 2020 and the climate service and climate modelling arena. European Network of Earth System Modelling, and then globally activities such as the Global Framework for Climate Services under the UN system. So we've been bringing together these different, they have their own networks essentially, so looking to build upon those existing activities and networks to create this larger network. It's part of European Roadmap for Climate Services, so Europe has a roadmap for climate services, and we've been part of the implementation of that, and some of the work we've been doing assessing needs and gaps and capabilities has fitted into this. So that's this bullet point here. So we, through various members of the network, experts from around Europe and around the world, we've been looking to identify new challenges in Earth system modelling and climate services, as well as emerging needs in those two domains as well. And we've produced a range of reports, policy documents, things on websites. And part of that is we've done through our enhancing communication and dissemination of all of this sort of knowledge. So we've been looking to bring together different pieces of knowledge. And these Webstivals and festivals are a key part of how we communicate and disseminate knowledge amongst ourselves, amongst the network. Sadly though, so at this final point, so it's a 5-year project and we're now in our final year of 5. So this will be the last series of Webstivals, although there's a session next on the legacy of the project. So obviously we have a website. So if you're not familiar with this, please connect on our website listed here, where there's a range of material, resources, hopefully interesting things on there. So please feel free to look at that. I believe we're going to be making all of these slides available on the website afterwards, but www.climateeurope.eu. And we've been very active on social media. So I'll do a bit of a shout out now. So Natalie Garrett, who is on the call, was originally very active in getting our social media presence to be very high. Natalie has moved on to pastures new, but she is still with us, still part of the project. But another colleague, Stacey, has now stepped in. So Stacey, are you available? Would you like to say a few words about the social media aspects?
Yes, Chris, can you hear me?
Yep, perfectly. Good morning.
Hi everyone. So yes, I'm Stacey. I'm the social media manager for Climate Europe. If you're a tweeter, we would love to see your tweets during the event. So please use the hashtag on the screen, ClimateU20. Could you also tag us using our handle @ClimateEurope if you're tweeting? We'd love to see a virtual selfie of you at your virtual festival spaces. So please tag us and use the hashtag. Do you want to move on to the LinkedIn slide, Chris?
Yep.
We also have a LinkedIn group. It's growing daily, and everyone who's a member can post and share any news they have on climate and climate services. You can search for the group by searching Climate Europe in LinkedIn, or if you'd like the link, please let me know and I'll share it with you. LinkedIn is going to be very important for the legacy of Climate Europe, so we encourage anyone who's interested in Climate Europe, climate services, to join our network. That's it from me.
Thank you very much. And also through the website, so we have a Climate Europe network platform hosted by CMCC. There are probably colleagues on the call if people have specific questions. So there are over 200 members on this web platform. Anyone who joins the network is sent an invitation to join this platform. You can use it for networking, discussions, sharing funding opportunities, whatever. So to join the network platform and the network in general, it's participate@climateeurope.eu, but I suspect since you're on this Webstival, you're all familiar with that. So the network itself, so this is a map showing how many members we have in each country across Europe. So there are over 380 members in the network, which is perfect. It's exactly the sort of numbers we were hoping for when we started this project. And you can see most members, if you look at the colour distribution, UK and the Netherlands, Germany, Spain, sort of the western half of Europe. And as we go into Eastern Europe, there are fewer members. At the beginning, though, there were almost no members in Eastern Europe. We do have a partner in Serbia, but beyond that, we didn't really have many. So we have spent a lot of time over the last 2 or 3 years trying to increase the reach of the network and the project activities. And so we do now have more members within the Eastern European side. So thank you all for joining. And as we heard at the beginning from Bex, we have people who are joining from all around the world extraordinarily, which is fantastic. Yesterday, Stacey did this rather fun, I think she might have done this in Excel, I'm not sure. but very quickly drew up this heat map showing where the participants from today's Webstival are coming from. So there's obviously a hotspot around the Exeter region, so southwest England. I guess I'm about there somewhere. The Netherlands and Belgium. So I guess there's a lot of people from Brussels joining, KNMI, JPI Climate, Hamburg region, but all over Europe we can see people are joining, which is fantastic. So thank you all. And then the next slide, she's done the same thing, just showing the countries around the world. So 42 countries look like they're going to be represented at some point in today's Webstival, which is extraordinary. If somebody can mute their microphone, that would be, thank you. So I feel for the people who are west of here, it must be very early in the morning. Thank you very much for joining. And it may well be very late in the day for the Australians. So that's the network. And as Beck said, for those of you who are in the icebreaker, this is a snapshot taken last year of all of the different organisations are part of the network. It's a fantastic number. I haven't counted how many there are on there. Natalie Garrett would know the number, I'm sure. She produced this last year. And we're looking to update this today. So on the Jamboards, for those of you who joined late, there's some Jamboards, Google documents essentially where people are adding their logos. And so this is a fantastic number of organisations who are part of the network. Again, thank you all very much. So finally now, just talking about the festivals themselves, building on what Lola said at the beginning. So we're creating an environment to support climate services. That's essentially the aim of these. And we bring together a range of different actors. So there's a lot of different groups of people on this Webstival: scientists, decision makers, policy makers, funding agencies, interested parties. It's a long list. And the idea is to share our different experiences and knowledge. And so we'll be doing that in the following sessions, discussing climate services clearly, and networking. So in the physical face-to-face meetings that we've had before, that networking has been very much at the center of this. There are pictures around this slide showing the different approaches we've used in these festivals for networking. And that's going to be more challenging now that we're not able to meet in this COVID world. We can't meet face-to-face. So this was meant to be a face-to-face meeting in Riga this week, and we had to make the painful decision back in about March that it couldn't be a face-to-face meeting. We did consider delaying this meeting, but it's still not clear for the rest of this year what it's going to mean in terms of face-to-face meetings and international travel. So I think we made a good decision to do this Webstival approach. So we will have a series of Webstivals over the coming months. And I think Lola will say something at the end of today at lunchtime about this. But that was a difficult decision. And so we are now looking at ways that we can do the networking remotely. And there clearly are very good ways. I think just having this event now rather than not doing anything is an ideal networking opportunity. We will be trying different things out today. Some of these things may work and some may not work. So as I said at the beginning, please do bear with us. Hopefully you've all seen what's been called the menu of the day. So the actual running order of events. So it's supposed to be a festival type of approach. It's not a conference or anything like that. So we really are trying not to make this a conference. So we're trying to be more creative to make this more engaging. And I will stop there at this point and thank you all for your time. I don't see any questions in the chat. So please do enjoy the festival or Webstival. So we're now going to hear from a representative from the European Commission. Annika has very kindly joining us. I think she's going to show us some slides and talk us through Horizon Europe, which is going to be very important to this community.